The setup for this video is pretty much irrelevant. All I did was create a character to make sure my luck was at 1, acquire as many caps as I could by selling the items I started with and whatever I stole from Doc Mitchell, murdered an NCR trooper for their armor, and entered the strip via Camp McCarran. I somewhat recently started using luck in my New Vegas challenges to easily acquire thousands of caps to spend on supplies like weapons, armor, and ammo. Now luck of something like 5 or 6 will give you decent odds of winning. Luck of 7 or 8 will be like having a dead rabbit with all 4 feet in your wallet. And with luck of 9 or 10, you'll have to go out of your way to lose. But what about luck of 1? Can you get kicked out of a casino in Fallout New Vegas with only 1 luck? Let me start off by saying that this video took on a life of its own fairly quickly. It's one of the few times an idea has gotten away from me and evolved into something else that I didn't anticipate. But something popped into my head and I ran with it. I'll get there in a minute. My first stop on the strip was any of the casinos. According to someone on the internet, all casinos have the same odds of winning, which is good. I wanted the worst odds possible, and I didn't have to put any effort into making that happen. So I went to the tops and noticed that if you have no weapons, you can tell the receptionist that you aren't carrying any weapons. I never knew that was an option. There are 3 games you can play: Blackjack, Roulette, and Slots. From my experience playing Blackjack every day at lunch in 7th grade with my friends, one of whom played and was the dealer at the same time, and always seemed to win for reasons that none of us understood at the time, Blackjack is the only game that has some skill involved, knowing when you should stand or take another card. The problem is that with luck at 1, strategy and skill pretty much go out the window. At first I was surprised. I actually managed to win a few hands. Then things took a turn for the worst, and I lost 2,800 caps in about 5 minutes. And you can't abuse quick saves to cheat the system. Obsidian thought of that and added a 60-second cooldown period inside the casinos when you load a quick save. It was abundantly clear that Blackjack was a dead end. If you get a 4, a queen, and an ace, obviously you're gonna hit again. Then you get another queen and you lose. That's pretty much how every hand went. You can also see the "you feel lucky" appear on the top right corner of the screen. It happens a lot, actually. Now you might be thinking that I'm playing like a moron, and maybe you're right. I always hit or stayed. I never surrendered because I'm not a little bitch, so Blackjack is worthless. I tried the slots next. This is where I really expected to win it big. I don't know a lot about slot machines, but what I do know is that when you win, and when you lose, you lose. Also, the set game time multiplier command doesn't work with slot machines. Rather than explaining how luck applies here, I'll just read off the Fallout wiki because it explains it rather well. With a luck of 10, slot machines may be an effective and simple way to break the bank at a casino. Even Blackjack requires a modicum of sense, so one is not constantly doubling down on a hand of 20. But with slot machines, the expected return with each pull of the lever is extremely positive. With a bit of starting cash to wait out a few dry spells, even constant plays of a low bid, like the max 25 chips allowed at the Sierra Madre Casino, will shortly yield a casino ban. So instead of having to remember when to hit or stay, you can just sit back, turn off the brain, take in the sounds, and rake in chips. Now with all of that being said, you can probably understand how luck of 1 would not be ideal when playing the slots. Trust me, I thought the same thing. My idea was to speed up the game and spam the W key to keep betting. I assumed that with enough time, the inevitable jackpots would outweigh the caps spent on the one-armed bandit box. But as I said, the SGTM command doesn't work. However, that was horribly timed. However, through the power of modern medicine, we can brute force the bitch into submission and force her to spit out every last chip she's got. How is this done? Simple. I downloaded a program that automated button presses. You start a recording, hit the keys you want to automatically press, stop the recording, and start back the playback, at which time the automation takes over. With this program, I successfully automated gambling in Fallout New Vegas, which might be close to the title of the video. I'm not sure how clickbaity I want to get with it yet. I let it run with a bet of 5 for quite some time, with 2,700 caps, betting in increments of 5, and the inability to lose more than 5 chips at a time. That's more than 500 pulls at the slot machine. After probably 10 minutes, I cranked it up to 10 caps per bet and let it ride for a while. In this first segment, it ran for 18, maybe 19 minutes. Each pull takes about 5 seconds, so that's roughly 225 bets with this particular machine. Now I want to point out that it wasn't a loss every single time. I did win on occasion, but the wins, because of how my luck wasn't enough to offset the cost of betting in the first place. So, with that failure, there was only one thing left to do, a surefire way to break the bank. Give myself 10 million chips, max out the bet, and let the bitch run until something happens. And this time I really do mean I let it run. None of this, it went on for 15 whole minutes bullshit. I'm talking about almost 2 hours of nothing but slots. I'm not going to talk about every small victory, but I did skim through this to see what jackpots I got. At around the 8-minute mark, I won 375 chips from my 75 chip bet. 14 minutes in, I won 150 chips back to back. That might sound impressive, but it's the 2 smallest wins possible based on the number of chips I bet. I would love nothing more than to tell you about all the jackpots I got, the tens of thousands of caps I won, but things just didn't go my way. I won 375 chips a handful of times, maybe 10 times in total over the course of the 2 whole hours, but I never got anything higher than that. By the time those 2 hours were up, I'd gambled away 53,000 chips. I never came close to winning. Obviously, I took my frustrations out on the other gamblers. To round off my experience at this establishment, I went back in time before there were a bunch of dead bodies all over the place and tried roulette. Roulette was probably the most annoying of the 3 games. It takes the raw luck of the slots and combines it with the effort required to play blackjack. You can bet anywhere on the board. The less likely you are to win, the higher the payout if you do win. And you can bet on multiple spaces, but if you do, the current bet resets down to 0. So you've got to manually increase the bet every single time. It's too time consuming for me. It takes too long to sit and play for it to be worth it. I went with my gut and stuck to the spaces with the lowest payout because they are the most likely to win. I won more frequently than I did at the other games, but just like them, I didn't win often enough to come out on top. So, to finally answer the video title's question, I don't think you can get kicked out of a casino in Fallout New Vegas with only one luck. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter at Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.